The month of March is all about celebrating and hearing some incredible stories from inspiring women from the areas of F&B, fashion, and of course, finance as well. Today, I have an incredible treat for you. Get your pen and paper out because you're going to be learning so much about managing, investing, and of course, building businesses. She is the #1 female entrepreneur in the Middle East. She's raised over $100 million worth of money, and she is the startup guru. You're going to learn so much on today's episode. Please welcome Joy Ajlouny. Welcome, Joy. I am so happy to have you, well, here in the showroom today and in the studio. There are so many questions I have for you because I've never had someone in like the expertise of finance.
Well, thanks. No, I really appreciate being here, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. So thank you.
You know, we have so many young entrepreneurs that come in here and they share their story, and they are incredible success stories from small businesses to big businesses. And the one partner they always need is a finance expert.
Oh yeah.
Someone who's going to build their business, someone who's going to raise the funds and really elevate their business. And more importantly, someone who's going to give them honest advice. And I feel like that is you.
That is definitely me. You're going to get straight talk from Joy, that's for sure. I'm actually famous for being straight.
No, and I think that's what people need now, right? Like, as much as you need support and affirmation and all those good things, you really do need someone who's going to give you the black and white of what their business plan looks like or how to elevate their business.
Absolutely. Honesty is absolutely the best thing, because every entrepreneur thinks that, they're sitting on the greatest thing. And then they sit down, with me, and then I kind of give them the real inside talk.
So you give them the real inside talk, but you have also invested in so many businesses as well. So we're going to talk about that. But let's just highlight one of the most incredible businesses that you are known for. You turned into an entrepreneur because you invested in this business called Fetcher, which everyone knows as, well, it's a savior for so many people, right? It can take any product, pay for anything from point A to point B, and has saved so many people time, money. It's super convenient, and it's all done through your phone.
Yep. So I'm one of the founders of Fetcher. It's a logistics company, and we raised over $100 million in funding, which gives me the title of #1 female entrepreneur in the entire Middle East.
We're very proud of you.
I'm proud to say that. Greatest accomplishment, been on the cover of Forbes for the #1 startup. Very proud of that, especially as a woman in the Middle East.
Of course.
For a business. This is not my first startup. I have a very unique resume, if you want. I've started a company in San Francisco in Silicon Valley and sold it in a merger and acquisition deal, which was an e-commerce platform. And I came to Dubai and I started the company Fetcher. And about 2 years ago, I sold my shares at Fetcher and exited to move on to be a venture capitalist, to now take this baton and pass it to the next generation of female entrepreneurs.
Well, what I love about your story is that you are on both sides of the coin, right? So you understand what an entrepreneur needs when it comes to funding and building their business. And as an entrepreneur, you know what it takes because you need the funding to build your business on all elements. Let's take example Fetcher. At what point did you see there was a gap in the market?
Well, early on. The best ideas for any of the entrepreneurs who are listening today is if there is a problem and you have a solution. Those are the best companies to invest in. Because that is what investors want to invest in. So we had early on decided that there was a problem. There's no addresses in emerging markets. And I'm sure a lot of people here understand that, in the rest of the world, you have an address, 15 Main Street. Yeah. You have a postal service, the mailman comes to your door, he knocks on your door, he leaves the mail there, and you have it, where half the world has no formal addresses. So when I came across the idea for Fetcher, I was like, wait a minute, there's a problem. Let's solve this problem of no addresses, because e-commerce was booming. And how can e-commerce boom when e-commerce is nothing but delivery? Delivery is e-commerce. Right. It's shipping. So we saw 8 years ago an opportunity, my partner and I, to solve the problem of no addresses using technology. And that's how it came about, pretty early on.
And I think I can comfortably say that there are not a lot of women in the logistics space.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I think when I exited Fetcher almost 2 years ago, we were 6,000 employees in 6 countries, Saudi, Bahrain.
That's so impressive.
It was a big operation. But yeah, I can tell you that there was only a handful of women in logistics. It's not a very female-driven situation for sure.
And what I love about your eyes when you look at a business plan is you have no emotion. You are really just looking at the problem, the solution, and the numbers, because the numbers don't lie, right?
Yeah. Well, now I'm on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
I'm a venture capitalist.
Yeah.
So the best venture capitalists, and for your audience who doesn't know what venture capitalists are, it's just a fancy word for investor,
Yeah.
right? So the best investors are ex-entrepreneurs because we understand what it takes. So when I look at someone's deck, I can see very clearly what's missing because I've been there. Who better to understand how to build a company than somebody who's built 2 companies? Mm-hmm. So in Silicon Valley, they will always tell you the best venture capitalists are always ex-entrepreneurs. So I have that ability to look and see, is this an SME or is this a venture-backed business? And I think what I see a lot of in the Middle East is small SMEs, which are amazing. Like I love to see more and more women doing their businesses. And I never say anything negative about somebody's, business because I am a huge supporter of women and women entrepreneurs. I mean, there's only 2% of women who have been funded in the world. I mean, it's a very small group. So I always love to encourage women, and I'm a huge supporter of women creating their own businesses and making their own money. And I talk about this all the time because when you're a woman and you make your own money, that's your dignity. That's where you get your self-worth, not from how pretty you look or who you're married to, but what goals you've accomplished that you've set for yourself and that you've reached them. That is what gives you dignity. That's what gives you your self-worth.
Well, on a side note, when it comes to relationships, because we talk about this all the time, having that financial power and independence in a relationship actually is more of an equal playing field, right? When it comes into a relationship as well. So, and not that you have to be making the same amount as your partner or vice versa, but just to have the conversation that I can pay that electricity bill, or I will pay for the restaurant tonight, or the grocery bill. It actually evens out the conversation. Oh,
absolutely. What you just said is spot on. Honestly, Rosemin, I am passionate about this. This is the number one thing that I preach to all women, is that it's not about how much money you make. It's that you've made your own money.
Yeah.
Earning an income is your self-respect. It's your dignity. And it's very important because it gives you freedom and it gives you power. And it's not about how much you make. It's about you're earning your own money. It's very important. And it doesn't matter what it is that you do. It's about the dignity that comes from that paycheck.
I love that. Let me just ask you about your childhood. Did you always have that entrepreneur flair, or were you just surrounded by people in business or where did you get this from? Because you have such an incredible drive.
I am extremely driven, scary driven, actually, as people have told me. No, I've always been an entrepreneur. I don't think entrepreneurs are born. I mean, I don't think they're made, they're born. You have to be born. You have to be.
Well, I think you have to be a risk taker, right? Like you have to have that.
You do.
I believe that.
You do.
Yeah.
You have to literally be relentless.
Yeah.
The kid in the back of the car who's like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? The children in the back who just keep nagging you. Yeah. That's the entrepreneur.
Is that you?
That was me. That was me, for sure.
So it started at a young age where you just knew that you wanted to just do something different.
Yeah, I've always, I remember, I think my mom told me my first thing was I had a lemonade stand when I was, I think, like 10. I was like, so I put the stand outside and I remember at a very early age that if I just used the term fresh lemonade, I was able to get that extra 25 cents,
That was brilliant.
So I learned really early that that selling and earning. I think I remember at the time, I don't know what I sold 25 cents for a lemonade. I remember coming home with $2, but wow.
That was amazing.
I was hooked. You
know what I did as a kid, which is my parents always, and I still remember the story, is I lived in a small town and there was always on the TV, there was, these commercials for like, not commercials, but these adverts for like starving children in Africa. And I just didn't understand why these kids in Africa did not have food. And it was, like as a kid watching this, it was traumatizing. So I took those, in the 80s, they have those milk bags where you get the bag. So I took the bag, I went in the kitchen, took all the fruits and vegetables, put it in the bag, and literally put like to Africa and stuck it in the mailbox.
Oh,
and the postman, and it was right in front of the post, because I lived in a small town, the post whatever office was right there. They just watched me because they knew we lived down the street. And half an hour later, the postman came and went to my dad, and they're like, "Hey, Mike, your daughter did this, and we're really sorry. It's not gonna, these are all perishable. They're not gonna make it to Africa." So I just did not understand. You see these things as a kid, and so for me, like, charity and giving back and all those things, they all start when you're young and what you're surrounded by.
These little things that you talk about change your life.
You change your life.
Absolutely.
And you don't even understand where it comes from, right? So doing that lemonade stand gave you that independence, that confidence. Seeing $2 that you made gave you this empowerment.
Yep. It's funny. It's funny as you get older, you remember things. Your life flashes before you. It's the little things you remember. It's always the little things you remember.
And those are the ones that shape you, actually.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that story. And then how did you make your way to the Middle East?
Serendipity. I tell everybody who's out there, show up. The magic to my sauce is that I never say no. If you tell me, come meet me, I go, okay. Because every meeting opens a door for another meeting. And you never know where fate is going to take you. I'm a big believer in fate. So I literally got a phone call when I was in California, in Palo Alto, in San Francisco, and they said to me, "Hey, there's a bunch of entrepreneurs coming from the Middle East. You just sold your first company. Do you want to come and be a mentor?" And I was like, yes, absolutely. Because I knew that every moment, every door opens another door. And that's where I met my partner. And lo and behold, look what it did. That that yes brought me to Dubai. And I literally came here with 2 suitcases to start the company. So, I tell everybody, don't be lazy, show up. Showing up is 97% of making life happen.
I love that.
Yeah.
And being present. I know, because we spend a lot of time together and you're so present. Whether it's having coffee or sitting in a meeting or even attending a concert together, you're just in that moment. And I think that is honestly one of your greatest virtues as well.
Thank you. You have to. Life is if taught us anything, is that life is very fragile.
Yeah.
So I take advantage of every single moment, and every single moment in my life means something to me. I'm sitting here with you today. I'm going to remember that on my deathbed. Absolutely, I will. I will remember everything, and I take that with me. So I'm showing up today. You called me, and I showed up.
And I'm so happy you're here because on this show, it is really a platform for majority of the time, it's small business owners that are starting out. And one of the things you just mentioned was the difference between a small business that needs funding and then a venture, right? So that needs a venture capitalist like you to bring in the big bucks. At what point do you say no to the small business, or
great question.
Or are you open to like investing?
Rosemin, great question. That is the best question of today. No, it really is
making me feel good, but I hope you are. If you were watching, please take your pen and pencil. Write it down. Write down all this advice that she's giving you, because this is just incredible.
Let me tell you, of everything today, that was the billion-dollar question. Venture-backed businesses have to be businesses that are going to be acquired by somebody in 3 to 5 years. Okay? Venture capitalists is just a fancy word for investors. Investors want to invest in businesses that are going to return them money in 3 to 5 years. So people like me look for companies, and the first thing I say to these entrepreneurs is, who's going to buy your company in 3 to 5 years? Are you a global play or are you a regional play? Because investors want something that has scalability, something that's going to grow outside of the region, and something that somebody who's going to buy it. Apple's going to buy it, Uber's going to buy it, Facebook is going to buy it. You need to have an exit strategy and an opportunity to be bought in 3 to 5 years for you to be a venture capital business. Otherwise, you're a small SME.
So for small business owners, what are some tips that you can share to help them, well, with their business plan, ask for investors, and just taking their business to the next level?
Okay, well, first you've got to understand if you are a SME or a venture-backed business. You've got to really understand the difference. And then when you do, I mean, and this can go for either one, you have to have a great idea, okay? You've got to have an incredible team, okay? And the third, you got to have a go-to-market strategy. And that could be for either an SME or it could be for a venture-backed business. Either way, it's a business. Whether it's investor from venture capital, either money from your own money or from friends and family or from investors, it's the same strategy. Number one, you have to have a great idea. Number two, you got to have a great team. And number three, you have to have a go-to-market strategy. And those are the three biggest tips. Any way you slice it, those are the three biggest tips.
And what about a business plan? How do you create a niche business plan? We've seen business plans that are 30 pages, 50 pages, 100 pages. How do you keep it concise?
Well, great question. Business plans, you mean a deck or a business plan?
A deck, sorry.
Okay. Deck has to be short and sweet.
Okay.
Because, I've seen so many startups giving me these 25-page like encyclopedias. And they're like, here's my deck. And I'm like, ay. Short, quick, 10 pages. And if I don't get your message in the first 2 pages of what you do, I can't tell you how many decks I've seen where I've sent them back and I go, I have no clue what you do. Literally.
Really?
I literally send an email back and I'm like, your deck is great. I have no idea what you do. You got to get that point across fast. I have to know what you're doing in page 1, 2, 3 max. And it has to be very clear of what your value proposition is. And that's really the number one mistake I see with a lot of decks.
And how much financial information should you include?
Well, it depends on what stage you're at. If it's early stage, sitting there and saying, I get these decks where they're like, the market cap is $60 billion. And if we just get 1%, we're going to be worth this.
Yeah.
I look at that and I'm like, really? Because all investors look at that like, come on.
Yeah.
We all know as investors that in the beginning, you're not going to make any money. Actually, I'm going to give you something that's going to blow your mind. Mm-hmm. Do you know that most startups don't make money for 5 years? Did you know that?
No.
No. That's why they keep raising money, because they need to create and grab market share. So the name of the game is to eventually get to profitability. But the most important thing when you're starting a business is proof of concept. Does your business have legs? Is it getting, it's like a baby, right? Mm-hmm. You see a baby and he's crawling. And you're like, okay, I'll invest in the crawling baby, but you got to see, can the baby walk? Can the baby run? Mm-hmm. So that's the same thing with startups. They need 5 years to get up and run. And they're not looking for profitability because in the beginning, nobody expects the baby to run.
Yeah.
So they're looking for proof. Can this baby walk? Can this baby run?
So that's like the research and development and all of that.
Yeah. Does your business work? Do you have proof of concept? Do you have a minimal viable product? Does anybody want it? These are the things that are stages in businesses, especially venture-backed businesses and even small businesses.
And what about these terms? You hear all these, I guess in the finance world, these jargons of Series A funding and whatever Series B. Explain to people what that means when they hear that.
So there are stages in funding with venture capitalists. So first stage is seed. And that's really easy to understand, right? Yeah. Seed is just an idea. That's all it is. It's a seed. So you take the seed, and seed money is friends and family. Because I'll go to you and I'll say, hey, Rosemin, I got a great idea. Can you give me some money? I have an idea. So there's no proof. There's nothing. There's just an idea. Mm-hmm. I take that seed, I plant it. Now the seed has grown. There's a little bit of a tree. So I can show that the tree has grown. Mm-hmm. Then you take that to Series A. Series A is more money. They'll think of it as water. Right?
Yeah.
Money. You pour it. Now the tree is a little bigger. Now you raise a Series B. So they're just fancy terms for secondary and third stages of funding. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. Seed, Series A, Series B, C, D, E, keeps going on.
And should an entrepreneur get scared when so many investors start coming on board because they start losing their share of the company?
Absolutely.
Great. So what is your opinion? How much should a business owner or like a founder hold on to percentage-wise of the company?
Oh, that's a tough question. Yeah. That's a tough question. Because if your company is worth $100 billion, right, and you own 1%, you're sitting sweet.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the valuation of the company.
Yeah.
So that's a toughie. But just keep in mind that every time you raise money from the venture capitalists, every round you lose about 25% of your company.
Yeah.
So money's not for free.
Yeah.
The people are investing in you, they own a percentage of your company. So every time you raise Series A 25, Series B 25, you keep losing pieces of your company. The whole strategy is that you are creating a company that's worth $100 million. So even though you're losing less of your company, the value of your company has gone up. So you're still owning a huge percentage of the value is still there for you as the entrepreneur.
And as a woman,
yeah,
I feel that there's not a lot of you out there, right? There's not a lot of investors out there. And for women who are looking in their bank account and they have a substantial amount of money that is just sitting in their account, how do they invest? Because I feel like for a man, a man will just sign a check right away, right? If they hear a good idea, whereas a woman might not be, as we know, not as comfortable to transfer those funds.
Yeah.
What is your advice to women out there who want to be, how do you be smart with your money? That's what it is, right? How do you be smart with your money?
That's a great question. Actually, it's a very important question. Women don't understand saving and investing. Men do, okay? Women spend a lot of money on shoes and clothes and all these
I feel like she's
things.
talking to me right now.
No!
This could be a one-on-one interview right now, but you can join in as well.
Well, you look gorgeous, but the part of
I'm learning.
the clothes and that is part of your business. So actually, it's a business investment for you, right? It's a business investment.
Tax write-off.
It's a tax write-off. It's part of your business. You have to look like this, right? This is a business expense.
I like to think so.
It is. But for most people, saving is really important. And I tell every woman to save. Because again, keeping money in your pocket is your safety net. So important.
Yeah.
So important. You know, a pair of shoes and a dress, no matter how much you love it, you wear it once or twice, it sits in the closet. So imagine a $2,000 dress that you just bought, right? And it's sitting in the closet. Imagine if you put $2,000 in an investment, right? That could have been worth $100,000. Like, very simple. If you invested in venture capitalists like me, I can return you 10x of your money in 3 to 5 years. If you invest that money in a stock like Apple, you know, just think about how much money that you would have returned. You need to think about your investment strategy. The way to think about it is very simple. Money that is safe and money that you're willing to take a risk on.
Okay.
So you think both.
Is there a percentage that you would?
Yeah, I would do, it depends on where you are at in life. Like if you're younger, you can take more risks. If you're older, maybe you're like, listen, I don't want to risk that much. But if you're younger, I would definitely risk more because you're young, you have an opportunity to gain. So I would do a portfolio of a couple of different things. I would do some venture capital, I would do some stocks, and I would do a little bit in I would say savings. Back in the old days, you used to get 5% on your money, but now there's no savings. So actually, if you put your money in a bank account with the interest rates that they're giving you, which is 0, you're actually losing money because inflation is so high that the value of your money is actually losing. So keeping your money in a bank account for low interest rate, if you don't keep up with inflation, you're actually losing money keeping the money in your bank account.
So informative, but
sorry,
so sad.
I know it sounds like too much information.
Okay, no, but honestly, how do you save money? Like, where do you keep this money for a rainy day? No, but where do you keep it if the bank account is?
So me personally, I put money in startups. I put money in stock market, and I put money in real estate. Those are the 3 places that I put my money.
Where you're investing.
I invest my money, yeah.
But for an everyday woman who gets her paycheck, and let's just throw $100, right, just to keep it simple, $100, how do you split that $100?
So it depends on your lifestyle. Do you have to pay rent? You have to be disciplined. How much money do I need to live, and how much money of this paycheck can I put away? And you have to be disciplined. So what I've done is I've automatically taken that money, I don't even look at it, I put it in a bank account. And then from that bank account, I decide where to disperse it. That's what I do. But again, putting it in a bank account is not going to make you money because there's no interest rate on your money. So I take that money. There are safe ways of investing, safer ways. There are stocks that will return you consistently 5% if you want to be safe. But 5% is not going to keep up with the price of inflation. You have to keep some money for safety and some money risk. You have to.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you're going to keep up with the rate of inflation. But you must save some money, because you'd be very surprised. Like, I remember when I started saving, I was like, $100. Like, what is that? That's nothing. 300 dirhams. And then before I knew it, I was like, oh, wow, 2 years. I'm like, whoa, how did I get that money? And then you build a net, you'd be very surprised. Like, it's like living every day, every month, you're like, wait a minute, it was just November.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute, Christmas was just like 2 months ago. Like, wait a minute, we're already in spring. So what happens is the same thing with money. You put a little bit away and you don't feel it, because the weeks, the months, the years, they keep passing. But it's a very important lesson for women. You must put money away. You must save money. It's very important.
Financial education, I feel like, is something that people just don't.
I would do a whole show just on saving money for you.
Yeah.
Like on how to save money.
I think it's really important.
It really is important. And you must always expect the unexpected, which is why you must have savings. It's very important.
Yeah, because I think everyone grows up talking about that rainy day, and the rainy day is starting to appear.
It's raining.
It's raining. Yeah. No, it is raining. And I think for people, just not just the pandemic, but I think just overall the world is changing. So these jobs that you thought were safe jobs are now being eliminated, whether it's through technology or just a change in the environment.
Yeah.
And that job security there is not there anymore.
Nope.
What once was, like in the 80s and 90s,
Well, I think has taught us that there's nothing for certain in life, not even your own life, not even your own life. So, you've got to save a nest egg.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is probably the number one thing that I think women need more than anything is how to save money and how to invest money. Absolutely.
There are some incredible success stories we've just heard of. We heard the Bumble founder, Whitney. She
love her.
Yeah, right? First female billionaire in, right? Is that right? In the US?
Youngest. 31 years old.
31 years old.
On a dating app.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that just shows you how the world is so different.
These women make my heart beat.
Yeah.
Because I love these girls.
Yeah.
I love these girls. Even the founder of Spanx, look what she's created. Yeah.
I actually love following her, because she always does these kind of motivational videos, and she's great as well.
She's a VC now. She invests.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. Once you become an entrepreneur and you've learned the loops, you pass this baton to the next generation of women to help and invest in them, which is what I hope to do.
You are doing that.
So so if any girls out there want to invest in a venture capitalist, they can invest in me. I'm investing in startups.
No, we're going to put all your details here. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge.
Thank you for having me. Are you sure you want to?
I know I have so many questions, and I'm like,
are you sure you want to thank me after all this?
Yeah, no, I just find it so fascinating.
Thank you.
And I think females tend to be really a lot more indecisive, when it comes to really signing off on that dotted line. So it really helps to have a role model like you.
You're really sweet, but I want to take a moment to thank you for making it easy for me to talk to somebody who is as lovely and as easy.
Thank you.
No, you're an amazing host. You make it really easy to talk to. So thank you for being easy to talk to.
Oh, thanks, Joy. So nice. Joy, before you go, here at Indigo Living, our motto is living beautifully. What does that mean to you?
Living beautifully is about living in your heart and not in your head. I think that living beautifully is about bearing life's defeats and not losing your heart. And I think that if you can, in this day and age, bear all the defeat the world has pushed out, that every single one of us has been beaten down, and you can still rise from all of that and still not lose your heart, then you're the strongest human being in the room. And that's what it means to me.
I love that.
Thanks.
And I also know that you started this kind of mantra of gratitude, right? Of giving back. Every day you do something.
I do.
An act of kindness, which, at Indigo Living, we had a campaign called Acts of Kindness. So it's definitely a part of the DNA of this company as well. of just doing even the smallest little thing. So
I
love hearing that story.
You know how I feel about energy.
Yeah.
I'm a, I don't know if you can feel my energy through the camera,
Yeah.
but my energy is everything to me. And of course, my name is Joy, so it can't be negative, but
it's the joy effect.
The joy effect.
The joy effect.
But it's amazing to me, and I say this with my whole heart, that when you do acts of kindness for no reason,
Yeah.
and you don't talk about it and you don't discuss it, you just do it. You can't imagine what happiness fills your heart. It's amazing. It's like, you know the story, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas,
Yeah.
He didn't have a heart, you know that story? It's like every act gives you a bigger heart and a bigger heart and a bigger heart. So I always say, spread acts of random kindness and don't talk about it, and watch how the world changes
Yeah.
for you from inside. And that's been what I've been doing, and it's been working for me. So
Joy, thank you so much for joining us today.
thank you.
And thank you for joining us each week. It is such a privilege to host the show and share so many inspiring stories from leading women from all over the globe. Make sure you follow us on all the social media mediums, from YouTube, podcasts, and of course, Instagram as well. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great week.